8:50, and learning to swim can be a daunting experience for anyone. And when the BBC radio presenter Summaya Mughal realised that many South Asian women, including herself, had never learned, she decided that she was going to have a go and take the plunge at her local pool.
Now, she's recorded a podcast about her experience and had the help of two great British Olympic swimmers, Rebecca Adlington and Alice Dearing. They set her a gruelling open water challenge over 8 weeks. Let's take a look.
At 27, I'm a radio presenter and broadcaster. But I don't have one skill that could save my life. I want to do something about it. I'm learning to swim.
If we look at ethnic minorities...
I know I'm not the only South Asian woman who can't.
Only 2 out of 100 swim regularly, and so 98 out of 100 don't.
That's really shocking. So, Becky is... I've called in help from 2 faces you might recognise, Olympians Rebecca Adlington and Alice Dearing, who have set me the challenge.
You okay?
I'm very scared.
You'll be fine. I honestly think it'll change your life and you'll never look back.
Good. All good. I'm back at my old leisure centre, where I had a few lessons as a child, and I'm joined by my dad, who's also never learned.
He used to come and sit on that wide chair, and you are just saying, keep kicking.
Swimming wasn't a priority, and there were barriers that stopped me and also my dad, who grew up in Pakistan.
The place where I was living, there was no swimming facility available, and the parents' main concern was food, shelter and education. For us, there was no opportunity.
Now back to the challenge. What have Becky and Alice set me?
50 metres would hopefully be strong enough and ability enough that you'd be able to stay safe. I think doing a bit of open water swimming as well, and I think that would really kind of test your ability. You have to deal with like everything else that's in the water with you that you're a bit like about, so I think it would really help your confidence. I'm actually excited for you. By the end of 8 weeks, you'll ring me and you'll be like, I'm flying, I did 100 metres.
I think by the end of the 8 weeks, if I can be like, hey Becky, shall we race? I think that would be a great thing to work towards.
To be honest, I think you'd probably beat me.
How do you get used to this? Honestly, it's like, I feel like the water's coming out my eyes.
Learning to swim, especially as an adult, isn't easy, and putting yourself through potential trauma, emotions that you haven't really unpacked. I really hope other people look at you and think, oh, if she can do it, I can do it, because that's all it's about.
Day 1, swim lesson 1 for 8 weeks.
1, 2, 3. Breathe in. You did good, you did good.
There's a lot to learn, and it's emotional.
The mental barrier.
25 years of my life, people didn't know that I couldn't swim. And it feels so dramatic, like crying about it, but like imagine hiding something from the people that you love and your best friends, and you're going on holiday and you're like, I'm not going to go in the water because I don't want to get my hair wet. This is kind of a moment where I feel like I'm addressing something that I haven't been able to do for like my whole life.
No, I gotta stop. I gotta stop. It's going to be quite the journey.
It certainly is, and every splash of it is covered in Summaya's podcast. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for coming in. A physical journey, but an emotional journey as well, right?
Yeah, massively. Honestly, my anxiety has been absolutely bonkers over the last few months. Me and anxiety are like best mates. But yeah, it was difficult to admit that I couldn't swim. I kept it a secret for over 2 decades because I found it really embarrassing. But I know I'm not the only adult that can't, and I hope that the podcast makes people feel a little bit less alone and feel empowered to give it a go.
And did it make you feel less anxious and more empowered when you realised how many people were in exactly the same situation as you?
Yeah, 100%. And actually, when I was in the pool having those lessons and I was struggling, and there was a lot of struggle, so big shout out to Victoria Charles, my swim teacher, massive shout out to her. I would honestly think of all the people that also couldn't swim and that would possibly be feeling how I was feeling, and it became a motivation. And I'm so glad I put it out on social media. So a huge shout out to everyone on social who's helped me and kept me going, because the messages have been, there's been a lot of them, but they've helped me a lot.
This is you.
I know.
I mean, I'm no expert, but I think you look like you're a really good swimmer.
Do you know what's crazy? I haven't really seen myself swim. So when I see it, honestly, it makes me want to cry. It really does, because I haven't. It's different being in the pool and giving it a go. But when you actually see that you can potentially now do the thing that you couldn't do for so long, it feels a lot. It's been a whole journey to get to this point.
So it's about a lot more than just swimming.
Yeah, the podcast is not 5 episodes of Summaya going on about, like, you know, swimming lessons. It's not that. It's about identity. So I am a British Pakistani Muslim woman, and there are factors that have played into my journey of not being able to swim that link very closely to my culture. You'll meet my brother, you'll meet my dad, who have been brilliant, and it's a whole journey as a family that we've been on together to get to this point. My dad gets in the pool, and if there's a moment that I feel so proud, it's getting my 61-year-old father in the pool. Big shout out to Abu G, my dad, for getting in the water. So yeah, it's about identity. It's about also breaking down misconceptions, I think, around swimming. I feel like there is potentially a narrative around, oh, you can't wear this or that at the pool. But actually, leisure facilities are really great at accommodating, not just for women wearing modest swimwear, but also blokes as well. My dad wanted to wear a T-shirt in the water, you know, and he could. So episode 3 of the podcast, honestly, like, talks through that journey of, OK, we are going to go swimming. I'm with my best mate, Jane, and she feels a little bit body conscious, and she won't mind me saying that. And she wanted to be on the podcast for those people that might feel a bit self-conscious going swimming. And we go from the car park to the changing room to poolside, and we break everything down on that journey if you want to go swimming. So I hope that that episode especially helps you a lot.
And your ultimate aim is to do this open water swim. This is what Rebecca Adlington sets you as your challenge. You're not going to tell us whether you do it or not, because we have to keep going, clicking through the episodes. But what can you tell us about?
We've just seen someone in a wetsuit.
Yeah, I mean, I got into the open water. So big shout out to Rebecca Adlington and Alice Deering, who were the 2 Olympians that set me the task of 500 metres in open water by the end of the 8 weeks. I'm not going to give away whether I did it or not. There I am, trying to get all my hair into a tiny little swim cap and approaching the water. You can see my fear. Literally, I was so scared. What I will say is that final episode will, I hope, make you laugh. It will make you cry. But I hope it makes you feel empowered, and I hope that this story has done that. That's what this is about. Brown Girl Can't Swim, sorry, I'm going to cry, is not really about my journey of learning to swim. It's also to help other people on that journey as well, because I know how it feels to feel embarrassed, and I know how it feels to feel like there are things, perhaps from your culture, which feel like barriers, but they don't have to be. So I hope that the podcast helps with that journey, and you can watch it on East Midlands Today. A big shout out to my team at EMT, and listen to it on BBC Radio Leicester. A big shout out to everyone that supported this journey. So yeah, it's going to be great. It's really good, and the podcast sounds great, and that's because of my producer Ollie Peart, who has put it together and absolutely smashed it. It's 5 episodes. They're just over 10 minutes long. You've listened to the first one.
I've listened to the first couple this morning. I really enjoyed it, and I loved your dad.
Isn't he a legend?
I loved him.
Shout out Papa Mughal.
Because he was talking about, you were both talking about with your mum as well, about the family issues within any family, about, you know, you were like, why wasn't I taught to swim? Why didn't I really know how to swim? Yeah,
and it's, I mean, there were also really difficult conversations I had to have with my family. This isn't just a podcast where it's me, my dad and my brother all jolly talking about trying to learn to swim. We came to blows. We had really tough conversations. And you'll hear that in the 2nd episode, but by the 5th, you'll see the journey of the Mughal family, and I hope it puts a smile on your face.
Thank you so much for coming in. You're all right? It's putting you through the ringer again, aren't we? Emotionally this morning.
Yeah, it's OK. It's fine. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, delighted to have you here.
And do listen to the podcast.
And Sumaya's podcast, Brown Girl Can't Swim, is on BBC Sounds.
Right now.